Chapter 17. Planar Kinematics of Rigid Bodies. If you remember, in kinematics, we only focus on the geometric aspect of motion. What is the rigid body? Rigid body is an idealized model of an object that does not deform or change shape. The distance between every pair of points of a rigid body remains constant. Rigid body by nature is more complicated than particle motion because it involves not only translation but rotation as well. For now, we only focus on planar motion instead of a three-dimensional motion, which means that during motion, the path of any given particle in this rigid body is limited in a plane, and these planes are parallel to each other. And also, each plane is always parallel to a fixed plane, and it remains at the same distance to the fixed plane. There are three types of rigid body planar motion: translation, rotation about a fixed axis, and lastly, the general plane motion. That is simply when the rigid body is undergoing both translation and rotation simultaneously. Translation. Motion of a rigid body in which it does not rotate. Every point of a rigid body in translation has the same velocity and acceleration. So the motion of the rigid body is completely described by describing the motion of a single point. Rotation about a fixed axis. Motion of a rigid body in which points on a fixed axis are stationary. Each point not on the axis moves in a circular path about the axis because the rigid body rotates. And lastly, planar motion. Motion of a rigid body in which points intersected by a fixed plane remain in the plane. Rotation about a fixed axis is a special case of planar motion.